Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a comic book review of Echolands, issue number 2, brought to you by RatedComics. Let's get to it. We begin this issue with who Core is to Redhood, because in issue number 1, we didn't get to know who he really was. He just showed up and started kicking ass. Core knows everything about Redhood's past, but she knows very little about his. During last call on a drinking binge, he opened up about not remembering who his father was. All that he can remember was the back of his hand. He wasn't angry or bitter about it, just heartbroken. It was their broken hearts that pulled them together, and broken beds and bed frames too. You have any idea how expensive mattresses are? Long story short, he would die for her, and sometimes she feels she deserves to die. We continue now where issue number 1 left off. Teros Demond's daughter caught up to Hope and demands she gives her father's gem back, or she will do worse to her than death, which is drag her into the street, cut off her glove, and reveal her dirty little secret. Core comes in to defend his lady honor and their bed-breaking frames on her and hits her with an axe to the back. She's in pain and backhands him. That has to be one powerful backhand to make him go back like that. She tells Core that she will put him in sheep's girdle for the rest of his days to poop grass. Vampire lady, who we later find out her name is Rosa, tells him to run into the tunnels for escape. Core lands a final blow while she's trying to get the axe out of her back. He is already a cursed man, he says. Boom, clobbers her. He picked up Red Hood and they get the heck up out of there. Core tells Rabbit escape plan 9. He asks, are you sure? And he says, yes, blow this place up to ashes, just like Hope Red Hood taught you. He gets excited and blows this mofo up to ashes with Teros Demond magical daughter still in there. Look at that girl, she's just getting toasted. Back at an undisclosed location in the city, we see Teros Demond looking, and he is pissed because he wants his gem back that Red Hood stole from him. And he's just making a comment like, if my loyal daughter's gonna blow up buildings, she better have found that gem. It's the key to excavating our past. So now we know the importance of that gem. Cool, I dig it. Now when they escape into the tunnel, the dynamic with everyone is interesting and really fun while escaping. Rosa starts off with the question to Core. Did you know she could just rip people apart? Call back to issue number 1, and where she could just rip people in half, but it drains her power, it drains her energy. Core deflects the question, reminds him that she saved all of our asses. This causes tension with the group as each one wonders if they'll be next to be ripped apart. Can Hope even control her powers? That's the whole dialogue here. Funny thing that we get to find out that if she didn't take that gem, none of this would happen. I mean, who does that? Core reminds them they weren't complaining when she was offering to split the take with them. They dialogue some more, and their goal is to find their way to the surface. Rosa believes Red is slowing them down, and she thinks they should leave her behind. Despite Core reminding her and the rest of them that the rules they all agreed to was no one gets abandoned. That goes for her, that goes for everyone in here. Rosa's like, just because you guys broke some bed frames together on the regular doesn't mean she gets a pass. She brought that thing in, and now the rules are changed. We're referring to Desmond's daughter, because that girl is just nothing to be messed with. Redhood coughs and wakes up and tells the crew to stop fighting. Now back at the explosion, we see this little magical robot scanning the perimeter for survivals or whatnot, and he locates Desmond's daughter, and she's like, stop wasting time with me. I'm fine. Seek. Go find them. And the robot's just like, you know, going around, goes under the tunnel and starts doing his thing. Now, this is a really awesome dialogue here where they're talking about, how come you couldn't tell us that you could make people explode? And then Rosa's like, you know how we deal with malfunctioning monsters on Horror Hill, right? We put them to the torch. And then Red is like, all right, you want to take a run at me? Go ahead, come at me, bro. You're just a bloodsucker. You want to see my power works on a bloodsucker too? They dialogue and they all should split up because, hey, it's better to split up where she only catches one instead of everyone at the same time where they're separate, you know? But Core's like, look, if everyone wants to split up, we can do that, but we have a better chance of making it out of here together. Their whole goal is to get to the surface. And Red Hood is like, yes, our goal is to get to Treasure Island. Now, there's some history with Red Hood on Treasure Island that Core reminds her about Romulus, and Red Hood's like, look, he hates Demon more than he hates us. And Core's like, no, he don't hate us, he just hates you. Now, they got to get out of there, and they're finding their way going through this tunnel to get out of there and make it to the surface, to take a boat to go to Treasure Island, to get it away from Demon's daughter, because this girl doesn't joke around. Now, this is a really interesting, awesome backstory where they come across this metal robot, not the robot that was searching them from Demond's daughter, but just that's underneath the tunnels, and it scans them to see if they're a threat. But they're not a threat, and it reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's a creative way where we get introduced to characters and their backstory, but it does it in a really creative, awesome way. This is a great read. This great character building on new characters to make you feel familiar. Link in description if you guys want to get the book, by the way. Now they make it out alive. Brad points to Core and the other crew. I think that's the Scurvy Queen. Let's make our way to it. But it turns out this pirate with one tooth has history with her, and he's just like, all right, well, you know what? And then he calls back to her like, hey, you know, I got one tooth for mashed fruits and grog, but unless I can get some sweet young thing to chew my meat for me, what do you want, you little thief? Enough of the foreplay here. She wants safe passage. She's got no money, and she's hoping that he would grant her a favor. He's not gonna bite for that. Nah, last time I did something for you, didn't pay, and you never did. You still owe me. And Red's like, well, hey, then make her 3 favors. Oh, you know, there's no free rides here. But he'll do it in exchange for the Scorvia, because that's the guy that knows how to blow things up. And it sounds like they have something very malicious planned with them. You give us him for keeps, we'll take you. Red is like, no deal. And then the homeboy is like, are you gonna make people blow up again? Then if you're not gonna give him to us, then we're just gonna take him. Now that robot that scans in each of their backgrounds and their identities, he has this thing where he can't do harm. No harm, no harm. And they tell him no harm, but he sees that harm is about to be inflicted, and his defense mechanisms just go off. Now, I got to leave a little meat on the bone with this book, and keep in mind, Demond's daughter just catch up to him, but there's more to it. And this book is a mystical car. It takes you on as a passenger, and you discover in a whole new world, in a whole new strange way, and strangers in the land, and it's in this very strange but very cool way. I'm starting to accept the landscape part of the book, because the more I read this book, when I reread it, I tend to find things that I missed the first time around or the previous time around, and I dig it. It makes it a fascinating read. The final pages of the book are made up of this comic shadowy antagonist and this fortune teller, this wizard fortune teller that gives you a preview of what the next issue is, and it keeps you wanting more. And you know what? I'm looking for more. So with that being said, Echolands, issue number 2. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. Also, want to get a copy of your comic book? Hey, Rated Comics has you covered. Link in description, by the way. And if you like the content we're throwing up, don't be shy, don't be stingy. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.